Today, James is picking between Midnight Movie, Don't Answer the Phone, and Lucky. Because tonight's choices are about killers and serial killers and murder and all that kind of stuff. Alright, buddy. Go for it.
I look up.
Yeah, pick one.
But it's what? The but it like what? The what was that? The Bible.
I know it's a hard decision.
Up.
That one? Alright, don't answer the phone. James chose Don't Answer the Phone.
That's the least one I wanted.
Oh.
That means left.
This is probably the one that Daddy most wanted, so yay! And we're back from watching Don't Answer the Phone. 1980 film. Runs exactly an hour and a half long. Yeah. The Don't Answer the Phone, he'll know you're alone
Doesn't make sense at
part
all.
doesn't make much sense at all.
Too bad.
I think that was a ploy of marketing in this film, because really it doesn't make much sense in the grand scheme of things. Now, this film was a Hammer and Castle production. Now, I know what you're thinking when you hear those two names. You're thinking Hammer Studios and William Castle got together and put together a film? Well, no. I think they may have used their names to try and trick you into something like that. But no, this is a film directed by Robert Hammer. That's all you need to know, because he's got nothing else. And it's written by Robert Hammer and Michael D. Castle. And that's about it. Yep. This film is about a disturbed Vietnam vet who essentially goes around raping and murdering women in Los Angeles. And for some reason, he's got a fascination with a psychologist who does a radio talk show. And yeah, it's in terms of casting, it's weird. It's got two cops who are looking for this guy, their main characters. One is played by James Westmoreland, and the other one by Ben Frank. Neither of them have really anything of note to talk to you about. The psychiatrist actually is probably one of the bigger names in the film, and that's played by Flo Lawrence, who, oddly enough, doesn't have a large body of stuff to her name. She was in Schizoid after this as Pat, and then she went and played Mrs. Baxter in Hot Chili. She was in The Naked Cage and Over the Top, and then Night Wars, and then really didn't do a heck of a lot, but somehow ended up playing the part of Sarah Easter in The Lords of Salem. That's just so weird considering there's not much to her credit, really. Also in the film is, of course, the killer, the raper, the bad man who, believe it or not, somehow is the only person who really made it out of this film with any type of career. Yes, in fact, this guy has a huge career. I guess because of his size and stuff, he apparently played a lot of bad guys. But, I mean, he was J.L. Binger in the Clint Eastwood film Heartbreak Ridge. He was Paulie in Darkman. He did a whole bunch of films around this time that he did this film. Very similar vein as this. He did a lot of, let's see, like Rage, Swamp Thing, Invitation to Hell, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2, Street Hawk, he was in an episode of that, and Knight Rider and stuff like that. So like a lot of things, he was playing like the bad guy in those things. Oddly enough, he plays the transvestite in Armed and Dangerous. Not exactly the role you would expect from him, but maybe that's what they were going for. He ends up going later in the 80s. He was in Savage Harbor, Hell Comes to Frogtown, Action Jackson, and then he, weirdly enough, started doing video games. So he's got voiceover work in things like Twisted Metal, Command and Conquer. Oh yeah, it seems like all the Command and Conquer games he's got something in there. So yeah, that's a little weird that he went that way, but such is life. There's a couple of other people who did other type of B movies in there, but the one that really stood out to me was the guy who plays I guess he works for a nudie magazine or something like that, so he's buying these pictures from this killer, and that's Chuck Mitchell. Porky from Porky's is in this film. I'm looking at him, and he's a little bit younger, but I'm like, no, can that be it? And I looked him up and I was like, yeah, no, that is him. So yeah, he was also in Frightmare and They Call Me Bruce and Goodbye Cruel World and The Hearse. But yeah, before this film he did Penitentiary, blaxploitation, going to exploitation. But oddly enough, this film, I think it killed careers or something because it got panned by critics, like panned. And you know what happens when a film gets so panned? Well, when it's exploitation, fans eat it up. You know how they say, any press is good press? Well, apparently that's how this film ended up kind of notoriety, Don't Answer the Phone. But yeah, Leslie I'm sure she wants to talk about the Don't Answer the Phone part, because
That's the only reason I picked it to be in there at all, because I thought it was like the babysitter thing or something,
Yeah, that's what you think of, right? You hear Don't Answer the Phone. Every time I saw the film, like, in my collection, I kept thinking of that, the he's in the house, right? You know the thing. But yeah, outside of, I guess, the psychiatrist being on a talk show, there isn't any real don't answer the phone relation. He doesn't go around killing people on the phone. He doesn't phone people and then kill them. I don't know. Yeah, it's not the right name for this film. But yeah, apparently it's one of those films where, you know, exploitation. It's got violence, nudity, and apparently that's what you needed back then to make some money. And yeah, outside of the end, literally like the end scene, there isn't any real gore or anything like that. Despite the fact that he's supposed to have like mutilated some of these women, they don't show any of it. It's mostly strangulation, rip open their top, and then they're dead. And then apparently after they're dead, he does stuff to them or something. Yeah. Ooh.
God.
But yeah, it's essentially just two cops trying to catch this killer, and this killer raping and killing women. There's nothing much else in this film.
God.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a very good film, but if you're a fan of like the very greasy exploitation films, the the kind of stuff that really I guess this would show at drive-ins or something. I don't know. It definitely would be one of those things where, down in New York in certain theaters, the Grindhouse theaters, this is where you'd find it, but I don't know.
I get times were different then, but this just irked me. I didn't like it. I would have rather watched 10 million people get pretend murdered. Because I just didn't like it. Yes, I get it. He's not supposed to be nice to them and stuff, but just the way he was talking, and I couldn't stand it.
It's funny because he's not supposed to be a likable character, right? But I think we're on the same page. The reason it's not the fact that he's going around and raping and murdering the women that we don't like him. It's him as a character. He does just stupid things where I don't know. At one point, we were like, it seemed like he was possessed by a black man. The way he was talking, and he was calling himself a honky, and it's just like, huh? And then he's on the phone sometimes, and I think he's Hispanic. And I don't know, is he supposed to have multiple personality disorder or something like that? No, I don't know if that was in the script where that's supposed to be a thing, but he tends to change his voice quite a few times during the film, and yeah, there's no real reason for it. What?
It's just the kind of stuff. Even though it was so long ago, for him to even hear the way he's talking to the women, just to hear that bothers me as.
Well, yes.
Of a boy,
It's one of the that's one of the reasons why the critics I think panned it, because it was so misogynistic. He's a hater of women. He's very much a hater of women.
Yeah, I see. Did the pumpkin, yeah.
I mean, this is no I spit on your grave type thing, right? This isn't where the whole film is just a rape scene. No, the rape scenes are short. They're essentially show some nudity, violence to kill, and that's it, right? There isn't much to them. There are plenty of other films where, the rape, whether it be 1 or 2 or 3, are much worse off and would get a much more visceral reaction. Like that, what was that made-for-TV movie? With the mom on the phone.
The Sally Field.
Yeah.
Oh God.
What was the name of that movie?
Eye for an Eye.
Eye for an Eye. That is a rape. That is in my mind, that is probably one of the worst rape, and that was wasn't that was made for TV, was it not?
No, that was a major picture. I thought we rented that.
I thought I saw it on television.
Well, it would have been on television later, but I think it came out.
I don't know. But yeah, that to me, in terms of anything, that is the most. It's most visceral, the most emotional rape scene I've ever seen in any film. And I've seen all sorts of different ones, right? Like there's all sorts of them out there, but that one just it's hard to watch. It really is hard to watch. But
Yeah, because she's on the phone.
well, like everything about it is just yeah. So it's the rapes aren't anything crazy in this film. It's just he doesn't like women, and it comes across, and the film itself kind of has that tone to it. It's just all the women aren't treated very nicely in the film, but it is a sign of the times. Really, it is. But yeah, rating. Do you even have a rating for it?
I've said this before. I freaking hate this rating system because I don't. The only thing I liked about it was that I saw stuff that reminded me of when I was little. Like
it is a very good period piece, right? Like everything from clothes to the cars to everything about it is it's right, because I mean it's 1980. It was made in 79, released in 80, so everything is very 70s, but it's like late 70s, so it's kind of.
I was born in 70.
Kind of what we grew up with right at the tail end before you got into all the crazy 80s stuff.
I know.
So yeah, that sense it was definitely.
And that's basically
nostalgic.
the only thing that I liked. Other than that, it was stupid.
I like the music,
I don't like that.
but I tend to like music in a lot of 70s and 80s stuff because of the sound and everything. But yeah, it's.
I don't just because the whole thing bothered me so much. I don't even want to give it anything because I was offended. Like I didn't like that. Like I've seen really bad movies, like way worse movies, but just the verbal stuff going on really bothered me. I didn't like it. The whole thing wasn't scary or
No.
it wasn't like you had to figure out who's involved because you know who it is.
Yeah, it's not a whodunit. It's not
So,
scary. It's not gory.
No, it didn't do anything.
It's just exploitation for the sake of exploitation, right? It's just a killer killing and raping.
And I don't need that in my life.
She doesn't need that in her life. So she's getting a 0 from Leslie. I'm gonna go. What am I gonna go with for this?
No, he's shaking his head no.
No. I'm gonna go probably around a 2-ish. The film is, it shows its low budgetness. Some of the acting is subpar. So most of it's okay. I mean, it comes across as what it is. I think the worst acting came from a drunk hobo. It was like he was just so over the top. It seemed like a trauma movie almost. The way
I thought it was alright.
you thought that part was all right. He was just like.
Just show me anybody else is fine.
Well, we laughed at one part. I don't know. There's a couple of moments in the film which were unintentionally humorous.
Yeah, as later on.
Right.
Yeah. I don't remember now.
But yeah, I mean it's this isn't film for mainstream audiences for sure. It's just not. But as long as you know what it is going into it, which Leslie did not.
Or I wouldn't have included it at all.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, these movies are gross.
You're funny, buddy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's James's review right there.
And and we were trying to make you not even see it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to keep his eyes off it when the boobies start showing up on screen like all the time, because he wants to watch it. But yeah, it's not gonna get a recommend from me, but I think for people who are into this exploitation type films like this actually is probably half decent compared to some of the other ones. But it's not fun, right? I mean, like, a lot of the exploitation, be it nunsploitation, blaxploitation, you know, Ozploitation, Knucksploitation, they tend to, there's an air of fun to them, right? There's something to be enjoyed. This one is really, if you're getting enjoyment from Don't Answer the Phone, you probably should see a psychiatrist. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. But yeah, so that's what we thought about this one.
You better not show me any comments that say stuff like that, because
Somebody says I liked it.
I'd be like, can you unsubscribe them yourself? I don't want to have to track people
I know there are people out there who like this kind of stuff. I get it. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we're gonna get something good the next one.
Smashing my head with this pumpkin.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Zombie Night is not going to be a good one.
I don't like zombies.
I know you don't like zombie.
We're not doing this night thing, man. It's like you give me random crap and like pick.
This was Killer thing, and yesterday was supposed to be Ghost Night.
I think
That
the
failed.
issue is that we let somebody pick.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Because I had one in the group. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, I'll watch that
Oh,
one.
so she's blaming it all on James, even though she picks before he does.
If you saw what I get to pick from, okay. Alright.
Anyways, more 31 Days of Horror to come, so stay tuned. I mean, it's got to get better, right? You gonna pick something better next time? Okay. No, you're not. Yeah.
You're right, James. Looking outside in the black dark woods.